Are cocaine withdrawals really that bad? Are cocaine withdrawals as bad as people say they are? This is my experience, and I like to be very open and share about it because I was a raging cocaine addict. That was my biggest drug of choice, cocaine and alcohol. And I got sober 7/25/17. And so is cocaine withdrawals as bad as they say? Here's my experience with it. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and is cocaine withdrawals as bad as people say? People will share about withdrawal stories, and you always seem to get this mix of people who are like, oh, it ain't no thing, you don't understand, like you're making this up, it's BS. And you have other people who are telling you that this is the nightmare and it's the struggle that they're going through. And here's the thing that I have learned when it comes to withdrawals, and my unbiased opinion about it is withdrawals are different for everybody. Everybody's addiction is different for everyone. Just because somebody was doing a massive amount versus somebody who's doing a lot less doesn't mean that the withdrawals for either person are going to be greater or less. I think a lot of it depends on us as how we are genetically, how we are. I can tell you this. I've had people who have done 1-2 grams of Coke a day, or were doing maybe an 8-ball of Coke a week, and then when they got clean and sober, their withdrawals were really bad. Their mental withdrawals were bad. They had restless legs. They were twitchy, real bad mood swings. Again, I was doing 1 to 2 8-balls of Coke a day. That's about 7-8 grams of Coke a day. I don't look at them and diss their withdrawals at all, because again, I know that we're all different. I know that the withdrawals for us all are different. I didn't have, when I went through my withdrawals, a tremendous amount of physical discomfort. My withdrawals were truly like, yeah, I had a little bit of the restless legs, a lot of issues with my nose and just trying to breathe, and like my nose went through like this detox. A lot of crust came out. I still have issues with my nose. I have like a thing right here already that's scabbed back up. Like my nose is jacked for life. Luckily I didn't lose a septum, or my nose isn't caved back in. But again, I know people that have done less drug than me, or even more drug than me, and have different experiences. And that's the thing that I think is hard, is when you hear people who are sharing their stories or sharing their experiences of what it's really like. And I have to say this, your withdrawal, if you're withdrawing from a drug, is going to be different almost than anybody else. Same when it comes to your sobriety. The way that I got sober from alcohol and cocaine, cold turkey, quit, didn't go to AA right away. It took me about 2 weeks to even go to AA. Didn't relapse during that time, like die hard, just this is where I'm at. Is different than the person next to me. And no sobriety story is going to be identical. And that's the thing that I sometimes think that we lose track of. Same when it comes to everyone's withdrawals. For somebody who's going through a lot of body aches and stuff, who knows what their cocaine was mixed with? Who knows what it was mixed with, in general, because there is no pure cocaine out there. All cocaine is mixed with something. I mean, unless you're eating coca plants. So your withdrawals are all going to be a little bit different. I think the big thing is not discount other people's withdrawals. I mean, mine, I didn't go through a whole lot of physical withdrawals, but I went through real bad mental withdrawals. I mean, a little over a year after I got sober, I attempted suicide. Because, I mean, my brain could not get right. I didn't realize the importance of going to therapy to start to unravel this mess of all the self-medicating I was doing for trauma, for loss, for grief, for everything in here. And I mean, it hit me bad because, let's face it, I mean, people also don't realize when it comes to withdrawals, and even when it comes to cocaine withdrawals, there's two sides to it. I mean, I think that personally for me, it was more the mental side. It was more these moods. I mean, it's neurotransmitters are affected when it comes to serotonin, when it comes to dopamine, that all of a sudden this is all off. Your happy chemical firing off in your brain ain't firing off like it should be all of a sudden. The serotonin, which is your mood stabilizer or neurotransmitter, isn't firing off how it should be. So you're irritable, you're pissed, you're depressed, you're sad, you're angry, you're high. So it is a struggle, it is a challenge. I will say this, any withdrawal is a struggle. And if you have the experience that you go through something and you do not have bad withdrawals, consider yourself lucky. Like, by the grace of whatever, man, thank goodness that you didn't have those withdrawals. Because, I mean, I know people that have not done much. I know people that have shot up once or twice with heroin, and next thing you know, they are full on addicted. And I know people that have used heroin on and off for 10 years, and at the drop of a dime, they could stop. And it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Why does it affect somebody differently than it does this person, than it does this person, than it does this person? And that is one of the things that We don't have the right or the ability to discount anyone's withdrawals. For the ones going through it, your withdrawal is valid. Your pain you're going through is valid, whether it is all physical, whether it is physical and mental, whether it is all mental. Withdrawals are withdrawals, and ultimately, it's just being alive. We lose track of that. This isn't a competition of who had the worst withdrawal, especially even when it comes to like cocaine. That is one of the drugs that I think hits a lot of stigma when it comes to withdrawals, because people are like, oh, you want to talk withdrawals? Let me tell you about my heroin withdrawals. No, I don't want to talk to you about your heroin withdrawals, Arthur. I want to talk to you about my cocaine withdrawals, because this is what I'm going through right now, and I'm not a heroin addict. I mean, that's one of the challenges of the addiction when you're going through, and why you also feel alone, and why I think a lot of relapse happens is because our withdrawals and what we're going through and our struggles aren't sometimes validated and understood. So you feel alone, isolated. At that time, you're like, screw it, what's this all worth, dude? Let me go get high again and just numb all this. So, I mean, when it comes to really how bad are cocaine withdrawals, there's no scale out there. I know people that can quit right away and have no problem. I know people that have issues up and down. And so the worst thing you can ever do is to try and find these exact firm answers that are never going to exist, because withdrawal is different for everybody. Use is different for everybody. People always are like, there's no way you could do two 8 balls of cocaine. I mean, that's an 8 ball alone is 3.5 grams to 4 grams of coke. And if you don't know what that looks like weight wise, I've done even videos to show visual of what, 3.5 grams of powder looks like. That's a lot. But, well, let's face it, I've also been on stimulants such as Adderall and Ritalin for ADHD since I was 13. So probably have some sort of a tolerance buildup. And there's not a lot of science that goes into this, because, I mean, it's all like when I was going to school, the DARE program made me think that people were going to be handing me drugs left and right. And well, that never happened, DARE program. I had to go buy this stuff. No one gave it to me for free or tried to slip it into my stuff to get me high. But there isn't a broad amount of education on this, and even true ways, I think, to necessarily help somebody through the withdrawals. I will say this, the worst part of any withdrawal, and especially even with cocaine withdrawal, the part that you can never neglect is, because we hear so much of the physical pains of cold sweats, body aches, of the shakes, of feeling like you have this flu and you can't get rid of it, the constipation, you hear all of this, is the mental. No, the mental side cannot be overlooked. That up and down, the depression, I can tell you this, as a recovered addict, I attempted suicide after I got sober, a year after I got sober. I attempted suicide August the following year. I was sober for almost a year and a month when I attempted suicide. And that's the reality of how much mental is there, of the ups and downs and depression, that physical withdrawal can leave your system a lot sooner and a lot quicker. You can fight through that in a couple of weeks, maybe a month. But eventually that does subside, where the mental is a lot longer, because let's face it, the thing that you don't realize in this withdrawals is, yes, you went through these mood shifts and these mood swings, but all that stuff that you were secretly hiding, secretly self-medicating from, all now come to the forefront. All that trauma, all that loss, all that grief, all that abuse that maybe you went through, whatever it might be, PTSD, all that now just starts coming straight forward. And that is now part of your withdrawal too, because you don't know how to handle it anymore. And I think we overlook that a lot, and we overlook everybody's journey into sobriety. And so I share the videos, and I do videos just to help the ones out there know that they're not alone, that my withdrawals through cocaine are not going to be the same as anybody else's. And that's okay. But for everybody out there that's sober with cocaine, just like with me, we can all relate, and we know what it was like no matter what amount you did. It's not a competition of who is the best addict. Competition is you're still alive, I'm still alive. That's all that matters, dude. We both won. And we lose track of that sometimes. So for the one out there struggling, hit the like and follow button, comment down below. I'd love to hear your comments, because it really is a unity thing. It's a we thing, it's a us thing, it's a together thing, fighting through addiction, celebrating each other, and not saying who and how bad addiction and withdrawal really should be. So for the one out there going through it, you got this.